Hello, everyone. How are we going? Hopefully, you are doing well. We are back. It is a Tuesday night, and we are streaming. At this stage, it is just Dammo and I, as you can tell on screen. Dammo, how are you, mate?
Not too bad, not too bad. Pavlos, always good to see you, mate. And yeah, Dom will be in shortly. Obviously, life outside of FPL is a thing, and he has a family to attend to. So we'll cut him some slack, and I'm sure we'll see a wild Dom appear shortly.
Exactly right. So thank you to everyone that's already in the chat. It is already starting to move, which is absolutely fantastic. Before we get into things tonight, as you can tell by the title of the stream, we've got heaps and heaps and heaps to get through tonight. And we're going to try our very best to stay as concise as possible, but also giving you guys as much information as possible. But if you could please hit a subscribe button if you are new to the channel, that would be massively appreciated. Something that's probably a little bit underrated as well, that we didn't speak about too much last week, because I actually made the decision after we went live that we're going to go back to uploading these on Spotify too. So between Spotify and Apple Podcasts, these longer videos will be also uploaded as audio videos. Ideally, sort of by the Wednesday night. It takes a little bit of time for YouTube to process the video for me to be able to download it and then upload it to Spotify. So if you want to listen back again, or you miss bits and pieces as you've come in and out of live and you don't really want to watch the video, maybe you do things where you don't have access to your phone, make sure you look us up at Chasing Rank FPL on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and make sure you give it a 5-star review over there too. So big talking points tonight for us here. And we're right in that season now where we are a week and a half away from the start of the Premier League season. And what that means is, since our last big episode last Tuesday, there have been lots and lots of preseason games that have been going on. Damo, what's been some big key takeaways that you've seen before we sort of run some big numbers?
Look, obviously there's some teams that have looked really good in preseason, some teams that we've probably put an asterisk on and said we need to see a little bit more because they've been a bit unsettled. We'll discuss those teams probably as we go through this tweet that's about to come up. I think we're getting to the stage where some players are really emerging as locks in your team. So the first question to those in the stream, and good to see you in here, FPL Lola, JS, who knows, etc. Good to all see you in here and engaging with the start of the stream. I want to know who's locked in your team. Straight off the bat from preseason, a lock for me is Salah. He looked really good again against Atletico this morning. And another one is and Elliot Anderson's just emerged as a perfect template pick. So, straight away we're starting to get to that stage of preseason where there's certain players that aren't leaving any of our drafts. But we're also getting to the stage where we're taking note of these games and going, well, hello, what are we looking at? That first guy on that list is someone that has made it in my recent draft and has only just come out about an hour ago, but he seems to keep making that back in that tweet. And that was Danny Welbeck, who was first on that list there, Paul.
But, I just want to try and make sure I've got the right part of the tweet on screen, because it looked like it was stuck. There we go. That's better.
Sorry. Yeah, it's coming. There it is.
We're back. So anyway, Danny Welbeck is somebody I'm very keen to talk about a little bit later on, because his data is a little bit misleading, I personally think. But anyway, as Damo said, get the comments in. I can see JS reckons that Diouf is the best left back in the world and only 4.5 million. He was fantastic. We will get to him. It will take us a little bit of time to get to West Ham. But then we've also got, who knows, Malin, Harry Wilson did cook in preseason. Once again, we will get to those boys. You can see Malin on screen, and he's someone the whole community is talking about. JS goes, Salah and Anderson are his locks. JS also reckons Ndiaye and Palmer are locks in his side. And then, who knows, has had Malin in his team, but's gone to Anderson at the moment. I have Watkins, so just spread it out. Okay, fair enough. So covering the Aston Villa attack with an Ollie Watkins. So Arsenal's preseason has been a bit of an interesting one. You can't see the results on screen there. 3 wins, 1 loss. That loss was to Tottenham over there in Hong Kong. I'm not really sure what to make of Arsenal so far through their preseason. Like, they've had elements where their squad's not really been together. Gyökeres wasn't there for a large period of this preseason too. So no one's really talking about Arsenal assets sort of other than Saka. What are your early thoughts, Damo, on Arsenal assets? Or do you think because Gyökeres coming in is going to sort of upset the apple cart a little bit?
Look, I am watching Arsenal as an asterisk. I have teams that I'm like heavily ticked on, and I'm like, these are teams that I want to target. Then I have teams that I have an asterisk on that I'm like, I need to see more of. And then I have teams that I've got a complete cross against that I'm not going to pick these players. Come the first part of the season, I'm going to need 13 game weeks of data, for instance. Arsenal has a little asterisk, and the main reason down to that is they haven't had to complete preseason with like their strongest squad, and it's been a little bit disjointed. It's interesting to see what's going to happen with Gyökeres in terms of what that does to Arsenal's attacking output. Obviously, I mentioned previously on stream that, I think historically in the modern day, the Arsenal strikers haven't performed particularly well. However, the word coming out of preseason is that Gyökeres is going to be on penalties for the year and Saka will not be taking them. So what I'm looking for from Arsenal is a 4-11 and them to get all minutes together. And I'm going to wait to see who gets that first penalty if one arises in preseason. Unlike maybe last year, and their fixtures were pretty good. Look, they have leads on game week 2. It would be nice to have Saka, for instance, as a differential captain, right? The fixtures aren't like, oh my goodness. They are one of the teams that have that big major game week 13 swing. So I think that it's very viable at the moment to watch Arsenal, get an understanding, see how they look with Gyökeres, see how the team will sit. Someone that may be safer from there is Declan Rice, who that's a killer jersey, Tom, by the way. That stopped me in my tracks. That's next level. Good to see you, mate. But yeah, like Declan Rice is fairly safe. Probably a defender is probably fairly safe as well. But I think Arsenal's one of those teams in preseason that we're going to need to have to watch in season and have some game mix of data before we start looking at their assets.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. As Dom slides on in, how you going, mate?
Good, mate. Good, boys. Happy to be here. Sorry, I'm a bit late, but the show goes on.
Exactly right.
Get into it.
All right, on to Aston Villa. At this stage, I am putting up a poll, and I realise I missed a very, very big option. Who is your favourite 5.5 mid? So your options are going to be Donyell Malen, who we are about to talk about right now. I've got Adingra, I've got Wilson, and I've got Anderson. You need to pick one of these players. Get your votes in below. Thank you, JS, for letting me know that I missed Anderson, because I feel like Anderson might just be that much of a lock that you could almost go Anderson and one more. But for argument's sake, I will include Anderson there. Let's just try and speed up our little roundup, because I know Dom has prepared some graphics for us as well that he does need to send me so that I can load them up onto the screen. But we do have Aston Villa fixtures. Donyell Malen is the big talking point now. Where am I? I'm all over the place here because my screen's not reflective of what's on the screen. So I might have... Twitter is not liking me right now. But Donyell Malen is on screen, so I'm just going to go with it for now, and I'll fix it up later. He has looked absolutely incredible. My issue with Aston Villa right now is everyone wants a piece of their attack, but we don't have a full understanding of what that starting 11 looks like up front. I don't see him starting as the 9. I think if Watkins stays, that's bad for Malen. If Watkins leaves, I think Villa replace Watkins. So I don't know if Malen is going to be the number 9. He needs to fight out on that right-hand side with Leon Bailey, I'm assuming, who I haven't actually seen on that returns list so far in preseason. So what are your guys' thoughts on Donny Malen as I try to sort out this tab? I think I've got it. Okay, I've got it sorted now. There we go.
Look,
what do you guys reckon about Malen?
I think straight off the bat, Marlon's looking more nailed for each preseason game. He's getting a handful of minutes. He's looked really, really accomplished going forward. He's looking very dynamic, and he's obviously in and around a lot of these chances. I think that obviously, Emery's a smart enough manager that he's probably going to have to pick him on weight or form to begin the season. However, and my caveat to this is he does not strike me as a guy that he will start and play 90 minutes. I think he's the first guy that's going to be taken off in a game if they need to chase a goal, or the first guy to come off if they need to shore up the defense. I think it's just the obvious point that of a player that you pull. Will it be great value if he's starting right wing for Aston Villa with their fixtures for 5.5? Yeah, he almost immediately becomes the best 5.5 midfielder. Do we know that? No. I think a lot comes down to what does Ollie Watkins do. And from what we have seen so far in preseason and what the rumors are, it looks very likely Watkins is going to stay now at Villa. And all of a sudden, then that's going to eat some minutes from Marlon potentially being part of that front three. So, yeah.
Perfect. So I think that is pretty much all we need to consider with Aston Villa. I feel like we know everything else about them. I'm expecting Tielemans is going to sit in with, Onana as the double pivot. For them, I don't see Tielemans playing as a 10. I think Rodgers is probably going to play either that 10, probably he's going to play that 10 role for Aston Villa once again, that sort of second striker role at 7 million. Everyone should know that Rodgers is a fantastic asset. It's whether you can fit him in with somebody else that I want to talk about a little bit later on. Bournemouth, I'm cooling a lot on Bournemouth at the moment. I like a lot of the players that they've got. Dammo and I spoke a lot about some Bournemouth assets on the weekend. So if you haven't checked out this new video, well, it's actually 2 new videos since we posted last week, but Dammo and I did about a half an hour deep dive on some of the most underrated players in the game, where we did speak about Senesi. Just through their fixtures, like, yes, it says Bournemouth have won 3 and lost 1. I think they've lost twice. They lost 2-0 to West Ham and they lost to Man United. So I think that data's not fully correct. So they're actually 2-2, and they got battered in both of those games against, Man United and West Ham. And a lot of people talking about Petrovic, a lot of people talking about Senesi. I still think we need to be mindful of clean sheets. And I mentioned this on the video last time. When you lose Kirkes, Zabani, Hyson, Kepa, doesn't matter who you replace it with. You're losing 4 of your 5 starting defenders. That's going to impact you significantly. So I'm just at a point with Bournemouth where I'm very hesitant to go there. JS, as a West Ham fan, has just said in the comments there that Bournemouth cooked them in the first half. Fair enough. But what I'm seeing is I'm not seeing the same Bournemouth side that defended with such ferocity last season. And we're in such a point where there's so many options in that 4.5 defenders, and there's now 4 million goalkeepers that are emerging. I think there's better options, especially with Liverpool away first game week, that if Bournemouth start off the season nice in that first 6-7 weeks, we can start looking at targeting their assets once we've got an idea of what that balance looks like. But until I see Truffert play 5 or 6 games in the Premier League coming from League One, then I wouldn't really want to go there. I think their attackers are good assets. I think Evan Nilsson and Semenyo at 7 mil, fantastic. But this is a Bournemouth side that also don't have Justin Kluivert fully fit and ready to go. He hasn't played in pre-season yet. So I just think there's so many variables right now with Bournemouth that I think we can take our money in other spots. What do you guys reckon before we move on?
Off you go, Dom. Welcome to the stream, mate. What do you reckon?
I was very heavy on Bournemouth as until this afternoon, where Semenyo left my team for Malin. Because touching on what Paul says, they've lost 4 of their back 5. So I've only played this morning. I think he's gone. When PSG come knocking, Bournemouth won't. They've got nothing to do there. I think he's gone. I think that's going to affect their team as a whole. You lose 4 of your back 5. That's going to affect the team as a whole. And yeah, they perform really well, but how often do we see these mid-table teams kill it one year and then just drop off the next? And their defense, like we said, I think a lot of people focusing too much on defensive contributions this year. Look at the clean sheets, and I don't think they're going to keep many. You can, Liverpool, they're probably going to cop 3 there. If they're 3-0 down, their attackers are going to be heads down. I think, a lot of people are going too crazy on Cherry's boys. But if you nail it, fair play to you. But I'm completely off them for another team, which I'll get onto later.
And I think there's plenty of time to find what those options are and let them settle in. So, it is a long, long season. Brentford, I don't even want to spend too long on them. They've only played the 2 games. Again, we just haven't had a chance to see what it looks like. Again, another team with so much change, more from the attack. So the only sort of asset that I do like right now from Brentford is Thiago. Now, the concern there is how fit is he? I think he's played both games as the number 9. What I like about him, I think my camera might be a touch out of focus, so hopefully I'm back in focus. What I like about him is he was brought in last season to be the Tony replacement, and he just wasn't fit. He just couldn't get healthy. So hopefully he's had some time. They had him on ice. They didn't need to rush him in last year. They had Sharda. They had Wissa. So hopefully now it looks like Lewis Potter and Sharda are going to play either side of Thiago. So at least the wingers are still players who did perform at times last year. and then they lose Norgard. So I just think Brentford aren't going to be a side that we see defend the same way we've seen them defend in the past. I think new manager, there's, again, so many variables. No Mark Flecken, who was very good for save points. I think Brentford might be a team that we've seen. They're going to be high scoring. So we might want attackers from Brentford because they are relatively well priced. So that's my views on Brentford. I don't think there's enough data really to talk about, but Dammo, I want you to take us away with Brighton because there is plenty of data to talk about Brighton.
Oh, here we go. The team that I've been most intrigued by in pre-season for sure, because where do we start with the attacking output of Brighton? We are so used to seeing them be front foot, flowing, attacking, aggressive, and it's great to see. But God knows who that front four is going to be come the opening day, because you got Welbeck that's in form. You got Minte that played up front according to Football in their last friendly. You have got Ruto who has got assists for fun. Borna Norte needs to get in this side. And all of a sudden O'Reilly has started in the middle in the 10 in, I think, every preseason game.
He's
so far.
definitely going to be their number 10.
And we haven't mentioned probably arguably their best attacker, Matoma, yet. Where does he fit in and all of that? So what I'm trying to say is Brighton are going to be fantastic. And they are going to look good. And we're going to want the assets from them. Just, do you know what asset that's going to be? No, you won't. So have fun trying to pick that one. It's like a little mini pep roulette, I think, happening at Brighton.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think there's just too many good players not to get minutes. And my worry is, especially early in the season, Brighton's fixtures are pretty solid. But do you want someone playing 65 minutes and not returning, and then being frustrated that the guy that comes on for the last 30 is the one getting the returns, and then it flipping the next week? Then you see your guys benched. It's like, how long are you going to be able to play that uneasy game over assets who probably need 90 minutes to be good assets? That's my worry with Brighton. And look, I was very heavy on Danny Welbeck. He was part of my hidden gems short that went out a week and a half ago. If given the circumstances, he is a fantastic option on penalties. Showed last year that he could finally play minutes, but Brighton have invested heavily in a Greek striker who is young. They've just let João Pedro go. They've just let Evan Ferguson go, and they've still got Jorginho Ruta there that could either play as a 10 or out wide. But I think Matt O'Reilly really started to cement that number 10 spot last season, and I'm just, again, too many question marks. I don't like question marks in game week 1. We've got all this data. We've got all these opportunities to pick players that we know are nailed, especially if we're looking at playing early bench boost. I'd be avoiding.
Yeah.
My thoughts exactly regarding the bench boost as well.
Definitely agree. And this is where some of those options are very well priced. But if you're not sure they're going to get the 90 minutes, the 80 minutes that you require from them, is it going with a safer pick from a different team that gets defensive contributions in the season where that's on offer? That might be a yes now.
For those that are in the chat, can you let us know, do you have any Bournemouth or Brighton assets in your side? And if you do, let us know who they are. I think we can just skip over Burnley. Esteve is going to be there, and that's probably all we need to know. The other big point is Dubravka going in as the goalkeeper, I think, gives us a good playing, 4 million goalkeeper as well, which is actually going to help us big time with some assets there. Into Crystal Palace, I'm going to start speed running this a little bit because I am mindful of time. Mateta looks a fantastic option. My worry with Crystal Palace is what happens with Eze. Everyone's talking about how good Palace's fixtures are. I'm not fully sold on Crystal Palace's fixtures. They are quite difficult, and I might try and see if I can bring them up as
I've got them here if you want.
Do you want to read them out for me?
Yeah, can do. So the reason why people are on Palace are people that want a wild card in game week 13, because the start, it's Chelsea, Forest, Villa, which is not great. But then from game week 4 to game week 7, and it gets better from here as well, is they go Sunderland, West Ham, Liverpool, Everton. So from 4 to 7, there's only one poor fix, you would say, against Liverpool. And you still have to throw in the triple relegation side, coming up side, from newly promoted sides, and throw in like your probably relegation friend sides like Wolves could be, etc. So I think a lot of people are going on Palace because they want the fixtures long term. But if you're someone that's setting up for a short term bench boost, and with the potential still to wild card late if you draw your team up that way, they're probably players that you start without and bring in a bit later when the run gets better. I
agree. Dom, thoughts? Any big boys you've got from Crystal Palace?
Not at the moment, no. The only one, I'd love Mateta, but I think if I had to go someone, it'd be Lacroix. biggest
I've-
defensive points.
I've
I
got
think
a
it'll be good to see
question.
Palace.
Got a question
I think they'll
about
push for a
Palace.
European spot. Yeah, go.
Now, I think defensive contribution points are going to be fantastic, and I love the look of Lacroix. But for 0.5 more, you've got Munoz, who basically plays right wing for them and does get some defensive contributions and is naturally very attacking.
Yeah.
What are we looking for from our defenders for this season?
I want clean sheet potential early too, though.
Yeah.
I think Palace concede in a lot of those first handful of games.
Yeah.
But he's someone I'm keen to wildcard into, personally. That's my setup with... If I could wildcard in game week 6 or 7 and pick up Mateta and Munoz and even maybe Lacroix...
You'd know if Eze is... By then
you know if Eze's still there. I don't want to buy into Palace and potentially Arsenal come in on deadline day and go, bang, see you later, their most creative player, because Palace don't have anyone that can play that role.
That would kill the club if Eze goes.
Especially early with hard fixtures. But I do love the Palace players, personally. But I think we've got capacity to wait. Or worst case scenario, bank 3 or 4 transfers. And then if a Murillo just shows no goal threat whatsoever, and Forest defense are struggling with Europe, easy flip, potentially. I think there's a lot of options. I think you just need to cover the price points of those players. I think you need someone that is 9 to 7.5 in your midfield to get to Eze if you need to. You need someone at 5.5 in your defense to cover Tarkovsky, Munoz, Murillo, Milenkovic, like those 5-5 defenders. And you need a Chris Wood, or I will get to Solanke after, but you just need a 7.5 forward to get to the one that bangs in the first month. I think if you cover those 3 price points, I think you're in good shape regardless.
I agree.
But I love them as players, and they've shown last year that they're very good. All right, Everton, not really big on Everton. Like Tarkovsky played, which is probably what I wanted to see. They get Leeds game week 1, which is brilliant. If you're going to do what Dammo mentioned that he was going to do early days and you're going to wildcard straight out of it, I absolutely love it. But I'm not 100% sold on Everton right now. And Dyer looks good, playing minutes, getting returns. That's what I wanted to see from him. And he looks fiery and he looks up for it and he's getting forward and he's there as a midfielder. We'll see if he's on penalties. He's probably the only player that I'm touching, as JS mentions that he's getting rid of and Dyer. And before we get on to Fulham, guys, we have picked up 2 new subs whilst we've been live, which is absolutely brilliant. So if you are here and you are new, we would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. Fulham, Harry Wilson's the big one. Dammo and I have watched this young man for a very, very long time as a Liverpool product. And he left with a lot of promise. And he's shown bits and pieces at Fulham. It's just whether he can lock down that spot on the right-hand side. I think, like, if he's given the keys and he can stay healthy, then he, at 5'5", could be a huge enabler. Has anyone seen what he's been cooking up? Because he's been scoring for fun.
He's looked like the Harry Wilson that started the season last year. And obviously, my start of the season last year was pretty hot and it was mainly down to Harry Wilson going bang and me having him in from game week 1. I have a lot of time for him. I think he's super talented. And I think when fit is very instrumental to that Fulham attack. Clearly proven by the amount of goals and assists he's already had as well. Is he fit? Yeah, maybe. Is he injured prone? Yeah. And what do we read into the Fulham attack at the moment? It's good, but are there other assets out there that we probably should target with the fixtures? Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's some good options there at 5'5" as well, but I think if he just keeps ticking the boxes, I think it's going to be hard not to pick, but I think Anderson's just clearly going to be the number 1
pick
ahead
think
of him.
Doing that
and if we look at the poll, our poll has Anderson at 67%, Mallon at 17%, and Adingra and Wilson at 8%. So I think pretty convincingly. The only other Fulham asset I'm really looking at is Anderson, the centre-back, as well. I think good for bonus point. Like, he's good for baseline bonus, and he's only going to get better with DEFCON as well because he's going to have more routes to points, and his passing is incredible. So he barely misses passes. So he just has really good baseline bonus with good fixtures and with good DEFCON potential and with good attacking threat from set pieces. He's a cheeky 4.5 defender that I'm looking at. Leeds, I'm not really interested in talking about. Liverpool, I don't think we need to talk too much about Liverpool either. I think our front four is pretty set and forget, bar the striker right now. depending on what happens with Isaac. And, you know, if we have Isaac, then it's Isaac. If we don't have Isaac, it's Ekatike. So I think it's just, you know, Gakpo, Wirtz, and Salah behind whoever's up front, and away we go. I don't think there's really much to talk about with Liverpool. I think the fullbacks, I'm not going there. If you're going a Liverpool defender long-term, you want Virgil, and it's pretty simple, I think. What do you guys reckon?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I've watched quite a fair bit of our preseason, but I'm not one to, you know, really invest heavily in a Liverpool asset that isn't Mohamed Salah. Just it's a minutes risk. We have a lot of depth. We don't rotate as much as what Pep does with Man City. However, you know what the assets are that are going to start each week, and that is Virgil, that is Salah, and then that's one of our defensive midfielders, whichever one's not being rotated. It's usually Gravenberch. So if you want security, you know which players you want. If you want to have a bit of fun and you want to go with an interesting pick, I think this guy's going to be nailed from minute one for the first few games. That's Gakpo. He looks like that left wing is going to be his to keep for now. So if you do want a punt on a Liverpool asset,
7.5.
It's
7.5 is a great price too.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a price point where you can move him down to a 6.5, a 6, or even a 5.5. And or with a couple of moves, you can move him up all the way to Bruno, Palmer, etc. So I think it's a great price point, and one that I would put an asterisk in and go maybe worth being in our drafts. But yeah, I wouldn't touch anyone else out of Mohamed Salah or Virgil van Dijk, to be fair, because of minutes.
And thank you to everyone that is putting in some really strong comments in as well. We will filter back through the chat as well. So feel free as we sort of wrap up this section and go through our next little bit with our team reviews to put your questions in again, because we are going to have a big Q&A section at the end of the stream too. So we have seen there's some really, really strong comments there, and we will get all the way back through them on the way through. Manchester United, Bruno Fernandes is just someone who I said on Twitter yesterday, I think it was, that he's just locked in my side, I think. There was a really good comment. I might try and go back and find it about his DEFCON points. And that's what we were talking about last week. We had that big graphic of players and their defensive contributions. And I think he's going to actually have some games where when Man United have tough fixtures, he might play a little bit deeper, which is actually going to be good for his creativity. So I am very, very keen to get him in, because I just think his baseline is just going to be so solid between his creativity, between his defensive contributions, between the penalties, the set pieces, and he's actually going to be creating chances for better finishes this year. So I think Bruno is probably the one Man United asset that I'm really looking at. Dorgu, I love what I see from Dorgu, but he's never going to be a 90-minute fullback playing the way that he plays as well. So that could be a good thing for him as well. It might mean that he gets some early subs before Man United concede, and he could be somebody that, you know, gets you some cheeky clean sheets when the rest of the United defense concedes. But I just, again, Man United with Arsenal game week 1, I just don't think you want to go anywhere other than Bruno. Has anyone got any other thoughts on Man United before we breeze on through?
I think
good preseason, but really
standard
from
United, though.
We know what they're going to do.
Correct. I think United's someone that we're going to have to watch a few Premier League games and the fixtures to turn that slight little bit, which they do turn, I think, after game week 3 pretty good.
You want that Burnley game. That's what everyone's looking at them for.
Yeah.
Game week 3.
You've got, obviously, in Mbemo, you've got Cunha. These guys are going to be fantastic. I think we won't get the United that has been languishing bottom half. I think we're going to get a pretty strong United, personally. When I say pretty strong, we're not talking title contenders here, by the way, either.
Talking top 7.
Yeah, something like that.
Pushing for a European spot.
I'm sitting here right now as someone that really likes Bruno as an asset. I'm the one that brought it up last live stream. He's not in my current draft, and he is single-handedly the only player that makes me want to rip up all my plans just to get him back in my draft, because I think he's going to be that good with the defensive contribution points.
And I'm the one who last year blew up my team the day of the deadline and brought him in, and the fact that he's in my team shows you how much I love Bruno as an asset. So I don't care. I love Bruno. It is what it is. Newcastle, I don't even want to talk about Newcastle because they are just in shambles at the moment. Until this Isaac situation gets resolved, I just don't want to go near them. They just can't do anything positive right now. They've got so much rotation risk in those wingers as well. There's just so many question marks with Newcastle assets that I would not recommend anyone going anywhere near anyone from Newcastle, other than Dubravka, who will very soon be Burnley's 4.0 goalkeeper in the game for us. So that's the only Newcastle asset I'd be recommending. Nottingham Forest, again, everyone's spoken to death about their defenders. I don't think it's our place to do that right now. They've not conceded a whole heap of goals. As you can see, they're 3-0 draws in that. I still think Nuno's going to have this defensive mindset with this Forest side. It's just what goes on with Chris Wood. I think there's some concerns around him starting, but I think he's going to be fine, personally.
Yep.
So, anyone want to take the reins with Sunderland, or you would like me just to sort of rinse through this so we can move?
Let's go. It's a Dingra, or it's Leafy, or it's no one really from Sunderland at the moment.
I like Granit Xhaka.
Who comes through.
You did say that, Paul.
I like Granit Xhaka a lot at 5 million. I don't think I'll start with him, which is annoying because the Sunderland fixtures are fantastic to start with. But I actually think he's going to have great baseline data for defensive contributions and a little bit of attacking threat. But I like the pick for someone who's not bench boosting early. So if you're just going to put a 5 million midfielder on your bench that can tick along in case you've got someone who doesn't play, that's the play I think Xhaka fits. I think you pay the extra 0.5 and go get a Dingra if it's someone that's going to contribute on your team. So that's about it for Sunderland, though, Dammo. I do agree with you. I wouldn't touch anybody else. Tottenham, know your doggy. We haven't seen Solanke. I'm completely off Solanke right now, and that's a decision I've made yesterday and today because I don't think you can go this far into preseason and not feature and just magically be okay to play 90 minutes. So Spurs are looking good. I'm not saying they're not looking good, but the assets at the price points that we really want aren't featuring. So, like, Van de Ven will be okay. I think Burnley game week 1's a nice fixture, but other than that, I'm not sold on the Spurs run, and then I'm not sold on who's in the starting 11. You know, look, Pat Matissar's there with 3 goals in preseason, and, you know, look at some of the names that are contributing. Like, it's a bit up in the... I mean, Kudus is the name, but I'd rather Illiman and die. Like, at 6.5 with penalties and 90 minutes, give me that every day of the week for Everton than 65, 70 minutes tops for Tottenham. What do you guys reckon?
I agree. I have Solanke, like, hovering in my
We
draft.
talked about it today, actually, in the chat.
But, yeah, I'm not sure what to make Spurs. I don't even know how they're going to go this year. I think defensively they're going to be a little bit better under Thomas Frank. I think Solanke will be a great asset at some point. I'm getting more and more worried with the preseason because we're not seeing him and this injury is lingering. And then
they've only got 2 games left. Sorry, Dammo. Yeah. They've got 1 friendly against Bayern, and then they've got the Super Cup. So there's not a lot of time left for him now.
Nah, there isn't.
All right. So that's Tottenham for me. I'm quite off of Spurs, especially with Man City game week 2 as well. That kind of just throws a spanner in the works.
Yeah.
West Ham, JS, you can fire up about your fantastic West Ham. They are looking really, really good. I think Graham Potter's a fantastic manager. He was going to get this system going. I like the fact that he's adjusted the system to be a 3-5-2 as well. Like, he's not just plugging and playing what he did at Brighton. And he plays a back 3 system, but at Chelsea, he was more 3-4-3. And at Brighton, he was more 3-4-3. I like that he's adjusting to who he's got. Like, he's got Lucas Paqueta, who has been cleared of all of these issues, you know, so he's free to play and far out. He looks refreshed at 6 million on penalties as a number 10, as a sole number 10 as well, with some bombing fullbacks in Diouf, and Diouf looks an absolute jet. And there was a definite comment earlier in the chat about Diouf practically playing as a left winger, just whipping balls in. Imagine like West Ham, they've got this hard-working midfield of guys, you know, Souček and whatnot, doing the dogleg stuff in the middle with Todibo, with Kilman, you know, really marshalling it at the back. You've got Wan-Bissaka getting up and back, working super hard. You've got Diouf with quality, whipping it up to full Krug. You've got Bowen nipping around in there as well. There's a formula there. 1 game a week with West Ham. I think a lot of their assets are priced quite fairly based off of their poor performance last year. I think they're going to be solid. JS is just writing that Areola's not going to be the number 1, which is even better for West Ham because he's just shambles right now. I'm really, really keen on West Ham. Sunderland game week 1. A few of the fixtures are tough. You get Chelsea, you get Forest in there. But I think you get certainty out of these West Ham guys. We know who's going to start every week. What do you got? Well, I'll go to Dom first. Dom, what are your thoughts on West Ham?
I today included 2 the West Ham boys in my team. My boy, Juve,
I have one.
Juve and Bowen.
Yep, I like it, Dom. Yes, Dom.
We're
on. Yep, same too.
I have made the move to bring Mr. Bowen into my draft as well.
Look at us. We haven't even spoken today. We now chat. We have deliberately not spoke. Dammo mentioned his team today. I deliberately did not put my team in because I have changed it a lot this evening. But I was saying to Dammo in the pre-recording that I'm actually there's a couple options I'll talk through to my team later that I could be swayed on, but these two are not. And I've got Diouf and I've got Bowen, I think, sitting in there right now as well. So I'm very, very keen on West Ham.
I do have a second West Ham option asset, but that's because he's been locked in all my drafts. That's Wan-Bissaka. He hasn't moved, but yeah.
I don't like the ownership of Wan-Bissaka, and I like the creativity of Diouf.
Yeah.
They're my
if you nail Diouf over Wan-Bissaka, you're like blowing 40% of the teams then and there.
Yeah, but it's more that if Wan-Bissaka doesn't get the contributions or an assist and
I don't think
start selling him, is what my issue is. So you're more like
watch how they play. Wan-Bissaka is your defensive option, and they were just he was just bombing that Diouf.
Yeah,
he looks like an animal.
So that's where I'm at. That is where I'm at with them, if I'm honest. But anyway, all right. So we're very much on West Ham. That's what I'm hearing.
Yep.
Wolves, I keep going to the wrong bloody tab. Sorry, boys.
You're up.
Because I've got this tab open twice. That's why. And I keep going the wrong one. Wolves, I love Strand Larson. So hasn't got the returns yet. I actually think Wolves will figure it out. And I think if you're going a Wolves asset, you're going a Wolves asset longer term because their fixtures after this Man City one are actually quite strong. I love Agbadou. Dammo and I spoke about him at length on the other video. I'm not going to speak about it at
like
super
under
length now.
1% owned or something.
Yeah, and he was averaging 10 defensive contributions a game. So he's pretty much not every week going to get the 2 points. But a lot of the time that Wolves play, he'll be up there for the contributions. He's a big towering centre back that is going to head everything away, which means like clearances are easier to rack up for centre backs in this because if it's a lot of balls into the box, he's clearing them away. So I think between that and tackles, he's not going to get a lot of interceptions. He's going to be more clearances and tackles. I think Agbadou is a fine hold. And as long as you can find the rotation that fits, then that's what I'd be doing with Wolves. So we have spent a lot of time there. We spent about half an hour going through the preseason. I think it is important, though, to have these conversations because this is what we're picking our teams based off of. So have you guys got any final thoughts as I load up some talking points for us before we get into our team?
Damn.
Not really. Enjoy preseason, boys, because once the season starts, we're all locked in. So
best part of the game.
Right. There's the first question that Dom posed to us today. Dom, take us away.
But they're both coming at 9.0, quite not really similar ownerships, but they're getting up on that. You know, you're seeing them a lot around, and I feel like you can only go one or the other. Do you go with Watkins' proven Premier League goal scoring record? Great run, but uncertainty over is he staying, is he going? Or do you go with Gyökeres? Is he going to start? Isn't he going to start? Personally, I don't think he's starting game week 1. That's just me. I think they go with Havertz. He loves Havertz, obviously, and he eases Gyökeres in. But if I'm picking one or the other, I'm taking Ollie Watkins every single day of the week for the first few game weeks. And that Arsenal run looks horrendous. Would love to hear your boys' thoughts, though. I don't think either of these guys are in either of our teams anymore. But yeah, I just thought this was a great one to chat about. You know, same price point, 2 proper number 9s, score goals, but 2 very, very different situations.
I'll just put it.
Yeah, Dammo, you go first because you were the anti-Gyökeres person last week.
I'll put it out there. One of these players is in my current draft, and it's because it seems like he's staying at Villa, and that fixture runs too good, and that Newcastle opening day fixture looks very, very, very yummy. I think Ollie Watkins, if he is staying, which it looks like he is at only 13.7%, absolutely nailed for the first 7 game weeks.
Yeah, so if you've got Bowen and Watkins up front, then that is super, super strong. So I like that a lot. I've been anti-Watkins because of the transfer, but if it gets towards the deadline and he's not on the way out, I would find it very, very hard not to have Ollie Watkins in my side. Gyökeres, look, I love Gyökeres. I kind of have this thing in my own head about not jumping into new signings, like to the league. I can live with guys who move within the Premier League, but I really struggle with picking players who are new to the league. Now, like Erling Haaland at 11 million, we knew he had track record doing it at Borussia Dortmund, but he was also walking in at City to be the number 9, and he had a full preseason. And I think there's too many question marks, not about Gyökeres, but around the preparation. Same reason why I wouldn't bring in Alexander Isak if he comes to Liverpool tomorrow morning. If we get Here We Go tomorrow morning, Isak doesn't walk into my team because he's missed all the bloody preseason. So I'm at a point now where I'm like, nah, Gyökeres, you haven't played enough minutes anyway. You have Man United. Yes, you missed the Leeds game, but as Dammo said with other Arsenal assets earlier, Dom, before you got on, there's a time in game week 13 where if you've got safe transfers, you can then go and get the Arsenal asset that's locked in and performing. So I would go Watkins in this case because the preseason numbers are there. He is the number 9. There's no John Duran there. There's no Marcus Rashford there. The fixtures are much better. I think you just go tick, 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 on you go.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the best part is the price point. Having a 9.0 striker allows you to do a lot of different things, right? It allows you to get to Gyökeres later down the track because it's the same price. It allows you to move down. If TK goes absolutely nuclear for Liverpool, it's only 0.5 down. You're saving 0.5 and you're bringing in that asset. You can go all the way down to a 7.5. What happens if one of the 5.5, 6.5 strikers starts popping off? You can save funds that way too if you want to come off Watkins for whatever reason there too. And that might allow you to make an upgrade in the middle of the park too. So I think in terms of price points, and I'm big on price points and covering a lot of different price points, having someone that's nailed, someone with that sort of fixture on, and someone that is proven in the Prem, I just don't see a world where you can't go for, where you go for Gyökeres over Watkins. I think it's Ollie Watkins every day.
Yeah. Massively agree with you guys there. Dammo, whilst you've got the stage, do you want to talk to us about Bruno versus Florian Wirtz? Two very creative midfielders separated by 0.5 million. Go.
Okay, so I'm wearing a Liverpool top. I got a Liverpool background, right? I am on this channel to provide FPL talk and discussion. So because of that, it's Bruno Fernandes, and if you're picking Wirtz, you're a very brave man because you don't know what you're going to get being a new player to the Prem. And I can't tell you how to play FPL, but it's not the aim of the channel. But guys that come from outside the Premier League to the Prem, historically, unless your name's Mohamed Salah, take a little bit of time to embed. And I see that happening with Wirtz, and it's not like Liverpool have got Burnley, Everton, Wolves, Leeds in their first 5. It's Bournemouth, which I think we're going to slap Bournemouth possible, potentially. But then Newcastle, I think they'll be up for that game. Arsenal's a big game. It may be the case that you start with Bruno, and if Wirtz looks good, he's the first person you transfer to in game week 4. And maybe it's the first move that you make as an early transfer. But I just don't see a world with Bruno with defensive contributions, penalties, having so many better attackers ahead of him now, and he got 20 goal contributions last week. He looks that good of an asset. I'm looking at my team, which has a very high rating on Hub, which I'm sure we'll get to later. I still want to bin that draft to get Bruno back in. That's how good I think Bruno's going to be. And it pains me to say that as a Liverpool top with a Liverpool background. But I think Bruno's going to be 200 points plus. So it's Bruno.
Thoughts, Tom?
Disagree.
Ooh, I love it. Go.
Give me Wirtz every single day of the week over Bruno. He's playing in the best, probably the best attacking team we've seen in the last few years, bar maybe some of those City teams. He's the number 10. He started every single preseason games as a 10. So none of this out wide nonsense. Everything's going to go through him. They're going to be banging in. You look at Bournemouth, they're going to score 3-4 goals minimum. He's going to be part of at least 2 of those. Newcastle away shambles, can lock in a couple goals there. Arsenal at home, maybe it's a stalemate, big deal. Burnley, Everton, Palace. I'd say in those 6 games, he's going to have 10 goal contributions. And you can clip this, everyone. After the game week 6, Verts has 10 goal contributions. Bruno might have a couple and some DC points. Big deal. And 0.5 cheaper.
I am right now putting a poll in. Bruno versus Verts. Who do you take? Get your options in the chat there, guys, because that is a big. Well, Dom's going with Verts. So, look, I'm a very data-driven manager, which is why I love Bruno Fernandes. I think Liverpool's fixtures arguably are better as well. Like, Man United play Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea as part of their first 6. But I still find it very hard to not go against my golden rule of wait for. Is that Eliana?
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. I was like, wait. I was thinking, what is that? I don't know. This is like a stalemate. I actually almost lean to the save the 0.5, but Bruno's been in my team so much this year. I'm going to go Bruno because I know what you're getting, and you're getting the penalty taker. I think we can't underestimate the impact of penalties as well. Like that does give you 6 or 7 extra returns a season, especially for a team like Man United who typically get more penalties. But it is very, very close, and I like the 12% ownership of Bruno as well over Florian Wirtz, who is very, very highly owned. Our last graphic, I'm hoping I haven't forgotten anything, that Dom has put together for us today is a bit of a fixtures comparison with the 7 million midfielders. So very, very interesting graphic to talk about because I feel like the first 2 players we've got on this graphic here are like minutes beasts. You know you're going to get 90 minutes from Rodgers, and you know you're probably going to get 89 minutes from Semenyo. He always tends to come off like bang on the 90th minute, I noticed last year, which is a little bit strange for someone as good as Semenyo. But the fixtures with Rodgers and Semenyo are just borderline very, very strong. I am very, very keen on that Villa and Bournemouth fixture run. Now, we spoke about Bournemouth's defensive issues earlier, but from game week 2, you get Wolves, Tottenham, Brighton, Newcastle, Leeds. There are goals there. I think they're very solid. What are your first takeaways there, Dammo, as you look at that graphic?
Look, immediately when you look at that graphic, you go, you've got 4 guys what you're really comparing to, which is Rodgers and Semenyo. I'm going to do my best here, ladies and gentlemen, to tell you that the other 2 guys on this graphic aren't bad picks and shouldn't be discredited. I will say that I think Rodgers and Semenyo are maybe a slight cut above, especially Rodgers with that fixture on. And to be fair, I think Semenyo is going to be absolutely nailed. And if Kluivert's not playing because of injury, he's probably going to be the one to take pens as well, Semenyo. So it's not bad either. I'm going to just spend a minute on Johnson and Neto because I think they both need to be discussed in their own right. Johnson became a nailed-on starter under Ange, and he looked absolutely fantastic in terms of getting forward and getting golden opportunities. And the fixture run for Spurs for an attacker or a defender is very good, right? Burnley at home, great fixture. Bournemouth at home, goals. West Ham away, probably goals. Brighton away, definitely goals because Brighton just know how to go forward and not defend. Wolves at home is a great fixture. He's someone you can put in your team and be like, he's going to start every week, he'll get minutes, and he's going to get opportunities. The fact Son's leaving is better for him because it's going to be less wingers to take minutes away from him as well. The one that
remember Kudus has come in though as well on the right.
I think Kudus is going to play for the middle, especially with Madison doing his ACL now as well. But
potentially
Neto is the one, and Paul might laugh at me saying this. I think he has the highest upside and the highest ceiling out of this 4.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If he's nailed, and that's the big thing, if he's nailed. So for me, because I'm saying this, he is the 4th one out the list, and I think it literally from left to right is how I would rank him. But if he is nailed with Palmer playing in the 10 with Pedro up front, there is chances galore. And we saw it with Madueke last season. When Palmer gets going and he draws 2 guys and he slips it to the winger, they're just going to get free opportunity to go create havoc. I think he is someone that if you pick him, you just got to do this with your eyes and close it and just go run it and keep him in there for 7-8 weeks, because there'll be weeks where it's 2 points, 1 point, 1 point, 2 points, 15.
Yeah,
that's how it's going to go with Neto. And I think with the fixtures, if he's starting, he's honestly worth the punt.
My concern with Chelsea is we're not going to see it. That, like, if this was any other year, we would see what it looks like. They do have a couple friendlies like now, like coming up this weekend, but it's like 2 friendlies in the same day. Are they going to go full strength? Are they going to split them across 2? God knows what Maresca's going to do. But far out, man. If he's the left winger at Chelsea locked in at 7 million, like, if he can just somehow take the same minutes, if not more than what João Pedro is going to get, because he's going to get hoofed at the lap. Who takes minutes off Neto on the left? Who else is there?
One for Dom to answer, probably.
That young guy Gittins they signed, but I think he'll be more like the European Cup guy to start with. He's only 20 years old. But as a Chelsea fan, I probably wouldn't go near Neto. That 7 million, what we can see, that 7 million price points is ridiculous. And all 4 of these guys have phenomenal early fixtures. I don't know who you said for the choice here, but I'm probably, as a great punt, Brendan Johnson. I don't know what you said about him. I just had to duck you out.
Yeah, I picked it up.
Yeah, Xavi Simons coming in.
I think he plays the 10 though, and Palmer goes on the right though.
Yeah,
personally.
well, Palmer on the right worked so well at the Club World Cup.
The year before. Yeah.
Yeah, and the year before, and guess it's harder to, push him out of the game from the opposition side of things if he's doing what he does, because then he just has no real, fit role. And it works so well at the Club World Cup. I think they'll stick with that. PSG couldn't even contain him doing that. So yeah, I think I like Brendan Johnson as a punt here. I don't know what
it just depends on what it just depends where Kudus sits in as well. Like if Damo's hit the nail on the head and maybe he plays as the 10, because there's not many other creative midfielders.
He's injured as well, and Madison's
done for the year. Son gone.
I just don't see who else will play the 10 outside of Kudus now with what options.
Yeah, I think Johnson's
the other options. Maybe Pat Matissar, I've heard potentially can play that bit more advanced role, but I
haven't seen anything of Berg Val, the 4.5 mil from last season that Ange really liked and played a lot in the 10 off the bench. I actually really rated him last year from the eye test, but I haven't seen enough of Spurs' preseason to know what.
I think Johnson's locked in that right wing spot.
I think so too.
Because was Kudus playing off the left? Was Kudus playing left? Because they've also got Mattis Tell that can play off the left too.
Well, in their last friendly, Son played 60 minutes off the left, so
yeah, but that was just
I know what you mean.
Farewell tour.
I think Johnson's too good. He'll play left or right depending on the situation and what they need.
I wouldn't be surprised if they go to the market again.
I could see that, even if it's a loan market.
A loan market, yeah, with Madison. I think Madison's done for this season.
All right. I think that's where we need to wrap it up. Dammo, you dropped I put the video up, but you recorded it today, and you spoke through your side. Do you want to load up your hub and talk us through whilst Dom gets his tab ready to go, and I'll wrap us up because my team has changed so much, and it probably will change again as we talk. So... And it has already changed as we were talking already tonight. So that's why I haven't posted it anywhere.
That's not the right photo. Hold up.
Oh, Dammo.
Hold up.
Now, whilst Dammo is loading his drafts, we have picked up a couple new subscribers. If you have stayed with us this long and you haven't subscribed, first of all, what are you doing? Second of all, hit that subscribe button because you will be forever grateful of that subscription when you get all our videos in your inbox. Also, make sure that you check us out over on Spotify and Apple Podcasts because we are uploading these long videos live. So if you've missed anything tonight and you're like, nah, I'm going to listen to it on my drive to work tomorrow, make sure you go on Spotify. Now, Dammo, your team hopefully is on the screen. And I see a certain someone sitting on the bench that you were scoffing at me for before. Talk.
I love doing that. I didn't want to give away the whole team and just say, this player I've got too, etc. What I will say is the video I posted a bit earlier was a bit of a different look. For those who have been watching my content specifically on the channel, I've been very heavy on a bench boost 1 strategy with a game week 2 wild card. This is the first time I've drawn up a bench boost 1 team, but with the to still wildcard in game week 13 when the fixture swing is, and I think this is the best hybrid of the 2 versions. The video I did post today was about a game week 5 bench boost with the game week 13 wildcard and why that is potentially really good. So I'll let you guys go and watch that for the pros and cons. But this team has good amount of rotation, some really premium players in defense and midfield and up front with a lot of players nailed for minutes.
I just saw someone else in your team. Oh, we're going to have some fun tonight. Sorry.
Yes, we will. I'm going to read the team out for those people. Obviously, I'm going to read the team out for those people that aren't watching and listening back as well. Please note, this is a team set up as a bench boost 1. So that is correct. This is bench boost active and very, very, very keen on this team, except for the fact it has no Bruno and I can't fit him in. But for Bruggen in goals, with a back 4 that reads Romero, Cucurella, Virgil, Neco Williams, midfield 3 of Mohamed Salah, Palmer, and Declan Rice, which I'm sure is who Paul wants to speak about very quickly. Up front, we've got Watkins, Bowen, and Mr. Beto, because I think that opening fixture is quite nice indeed.
Moyes came out and said he's not up to standard.
And the bench, which I'm bench boosting in, is Kellier because it's 4.5 keeper and I need it for the rotation to game week 13. Anderson, because I think he's an absolute magnet. Xhaka, because I do think he's going to be fantastic, to be quite fair, even though I scoffed a little bit earlier, tongue in cheek. And Wan-Bissaka has that beautiful opening fixture and I think is going to be quite good value, even though he has high ownership. Talk to me, boys. Off you go.
Paul,
by the way, 90% game week rating and team rating.
I'm worried about Beto. I like the 96, but yeah, apparently Moyes came out and said Beto's not up to standard. So it sounds like Barry might be the guy. That's big at the back though. 2 5s and 2 6s as well.
Yeah,
I like it though.
5. There's option for me in that back 4/5 with Wan-Bissaka to take money out to move Beto up as well. You can see why I can't fit Bruno in, and I'll explain why I've gone with this sort of draft. Is when you're looking at a bench boost 1 game week 2 wildcard strategy, you just go for the best players you wildcard straight out, right? Doesn't matter. And then you draw up a team that's going to look really good long term, like 19, 20 something weeks with a very solid base. This team has enough big at the back that if I had to play any of Cucurella, Virgil, or Neco in any fixture without rotation, I can do that. Better yet, Romero gets a great first fixture, and when Virgil plays Arsenal, which, look, it's good for DC points, I still think clean sheets are paramount, and at the same time, Romero's playing Bournemouth at home, and if Spurs are looking decent, it's potentially a fixture I can bench Virgil in as well, which I know it's brave to say, but it's something I could do, and it gives me players on the bench that if when the fixtures are difficult, like Declan Rice has Liverpool away, right, I think that's a week where you start Anderson against West Ham at home because it's attacking potential plus defensive contributions. Xhaka is going to be ticking over and I can play him in any of those fixtures. Wan-Bissaka is, I think, the most nailed defender at West Ham. Personally, I think he has great upside going forward and defensive contributions from the data last year. And I think I can play him in any fixture. It's a team that's really good for game week 1 with a decent bench for a bench boost. And gives me a lot of options to get to game week 7, game week 8, have a 1 to 4 week pump before my wild card, and get to 13 wild card, and get those nice fixture swings for Arsenal, Liverpool, City, etc.
I think there's some real strong positives there. I'm of the opinion that if I was to change anything in my team, it's about bringing more premium, quote unquote, premium defenders in, because I think bang for buck, the premium defenders could actually be so much better for the same price value than the mids. So, like, if you're comparing the 6.5 mids to the 6 and 5.5 defenders, I don't actually think there's going to be a whole lot between them this year. Like, I'm going to talk through a couple of options that I've got, but like, there's Daniel Munoz at 5.5. He probably gets close to outscoring Sarr without penalties, from the same team. But, Munoz has probably similar goal and assist threat with the potential of contributions and clean sheets. So I actually like the, 4-5 million and above defenders, because if you can get the right balance of them, I think the contributions, the goal threat and the clean sheet threat is really, really good.
And straight off the bat, I haven't seen any news about Beto. I picked him because the algorithm was like, this is the best guy for me to go with at 5.5. So I was like, cool, whatever. And I like the opening fixture. If it's the case that Barry's going to be nailed, then I can always go Romero to Van de Ven, who I believe will also be nailed alongside him, right? And that gives me the 0.5 to get him up.
Or Thiago.
Or Thiago if he's nailed at Brentford, even though they got Forest away and Forest look good defensively. I'd want to have, this is the first time I've looked to build a bench boost 1 draft with the option to not have to wildcard in 2. So it limits you a little bit. I think getting players that are absolutely nailed for the team is paramount if you've got to do so. So a guy like Bowen, even though he has Chelsea, Forest in that first 3, you just know when the West Ham team sheet comes out, it's Bowen, he's starting, he's up front, he's with Fulcrum, and if they're going to score and they pop up on goal rushes, go, okay, did Bowen get the goal or the assist? So I think it's one where it's just a nailed on move. And look, I think Bruno would be fantastic. I'm struggling to see how I can get Bruno in this team without doing major surgery. Do I want to do major surgery to get Bruno in? Yeah. But is there a world where Mark Wu, who comes in, the algorithm goes, okay, he's actually going to be really good, and we put him in instead of Beto as well, and then we move the extra 1 mil fund somewhere else? Maybe as well.
I like it. I like it a lot. Dom, what are your thoughts before we move on to your team?
Yeah, I think we covered everything. Some interesting choices, but love the idea, Dammo. I think you've kind of swayed me towards a bench boost 1 game week, bench boost 1 wildcard 2, but I think that you still have some minor changes. I think, Dammo, I know you too well.
Yeah, I'm always tinkering. I brought Declan Rice in for the first time today, and I just
he'll be gone.
The closer I'm getting, pardon?
He'll be gone. I know you.
Depends. The closer I'm getting to the deadline, the more I'm putting more weight into guys like Declan Rice, who are going to be box to box, good for defensive contributions, have some set piece threat, for attacking threat, and pop up in and around the edge of the box as well. So I think someone like Rice could be quite good value, especially in possession hungry teams like Arsenal is. And it provides you some sort of coverage when you don't have Gabriel, Saliba, Raya. I'm not interested in Saka at all at the moment, especially with him not having pens. So having at least one asset seems quite prudent. So Declan Rice, I think, is the best one to go for out of that lot.
Love it. All right, Dom, because I'm mindful of time and I do want to answer some questions before we get off.
I'll be real quick on mine because it's going to change tomorrow anyway.
Just how it goes.
Let me know once you've added
it. Be quick here. Let me know once it's up.
Where is it? Here it is. You're up.
Real quick. Bench boost game week 1 team.
Yep.
Sells speaks for himself. I'm not happy about the double up on the Forest, so that'll probably change. Juve locked, not going anywhere. Tarkovsky kind of, because I'm probably going to wildcard out of this. I think for that game week 1, going to do a job, but might drop down as well. Nothing needs to be said about Salah. Malin, convinced myself I'm on him. I think he's going to be in there. Palmer, same as Salah, not going anywhere. Marmoush, I feel like I just need a City player game week 1. Like, they're going to score goals. I think he's locked. Hard to tell no preseason, but I think he's locked. So I want someone in there, and he was my choice. Bowen, same. We chatted about West Ham. Welbeck, unsure on, but once again, great game week 1. Wood, I couldn't decide on strikers, so could change. But once again, great game week 1 with Brentford, who seem all over the place. If Dubravka starts game week 1, he's my guy. If not, I have to tinker because I'm bench boosting, so I need 2 playing keepers. Reynaldo's been my 4.0 defender from the start, and I think he should be yours as well. I really look into him. Played at Atletico Madrid, gun, going to play on the wing back. Not much needs to be said. And Dyer, he's going to be there no matter what. I just love him. Big on him. And Van de Ven, same. Burnley, home, rocking a clean sheet. Paulie, rated or slated.
Are you just the only thing, like, obviously, if you're going to wild card straight out of it, then there's probably not a whole lot to critique. Like, Welbeck, I'm a bit
you're playing game week 1 fixtures. Yeah, he's probably going to.
But there's not another 6.5 forward that I like for game week 1 at that price point anyway. Like, Strand Larson is the 6.5 I like the most, but from game week 2.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't mind him. Yeah, which is why I don't mind Thiago, because I think at 6 he's locked in at Brentford. Like, they're not going to sign someone else. Other than that, though, I quite like it. Mallon's probably the one risky pick where it's like, do you double down on Sunderland and just go with Dingra for a weekend? At least you know he starts against West Ham. But then you start having all these double ups like Diouf and Bowen versus Reynildo and Dingra.
Exactly.
So you kind of want to try and split the fixtures anyway. But I think as a solid draft, I think that's pretty solid draft. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah.
I think so too, Dom. I think it's pretty good. My only question would be, Joel Pedro, would you go near him to start the season?
Nah, said it as a Chelsea fan, he's a trap. I think he gets to 60 minutes, whether they're 3-0 up, 3-0 down, 1-0, like Liam Delap comes in.
Fair. That's the reason he's not in my draft.
For now. Anyway, cheers.
Beautiful. All right. My turn.
I'm so keen to see this.
All right. It has changed multiple times.
As it should.
I think we're live. So, 96 game week rating, 95 team rating. I'm going to do it like this because I don't want to waste it. I'm going to give you some suspense on my team. So, after looking at Dammo's team just then, there was a double change. There was a double change. Sanchez has been my goalkeeper forever. I've taken Sanchez out for Sells to cover myself with the Forest defense, and my boy Mark with the big hair that I wish I had is back in my defense. I actually love Cucurella so much.
I think he's great.
And for the sake of the 1 million, I think Cucurella and Sells is just a good combination. Not that the fixtures always line up perfectly, but I think the 5 million asset from Forest, I like the goalkeeper versus the 6 million defender. Whereas, like, if you have to do the reverse, you have to pay 5.5 for the defender and 5. So you end up saving a little bit if you go Sanchez and Murillo or Milenkovic. But I think Cucurella just gives a bit of everything. Like, I don't know. It might end up being that I go back to Milenkovic or Murillo and Sanchez to save the 0.5 because I know exactly where I want to put the 0.5. But this is a team that I want to bench boost with in game week 1 and keep beyond. And as I said to Dom, I don't love the 6.5 forwards, which is maybe an indication of where my money is spent. But for the audio listeners, my defense is Sells, Romero, Cucurella, Virgil, Dammo. Romero was the one I was talking about before. I'm not sold on Van de Ven. I just think I haven't seen him play long enough without getting injured. Romero's injuries have been a bit more preventable, where Van de Ven's hamstrings just keep pinging, and I'm a bit worried that at some point he can't play the way that he plays because he just keeps pinging hamstrings. So Romero's are more contact injuries, I think, more than muscle injuries.
Usually a stretcher.
Yeah, so I feel a little bit more confident that if Romero just stops smashing his head into people and goalposts, then he might be all right. So I actually didn't think the Tottenham fixtures were perfect, but he gets Burnley, Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Wolves, Leeds as 6 of his 7 games, and you just got to cop the Man City one in game week 2. But Romero's the type of defender that if he plays long enough, I think we'll see his defensive contribution points really kick in because he is the Colossus centre-back, where Van de Ven is the I'm going to drop off and track the runners type centre-back. So happy enough with that as my defence.
As well. Just add that in. He's
really good has the goal threat that Van de Ven doesn't as well. So great point. My midfield has some interesting price points in it. Salah, Palmer, Ndiaye, Anderson, and Xhaka. So I'm covering 3 different price points in that midfield. Well, 5 price points, but 3 non-premium midfielders. So Ndiaye is the 6.5 million. That has been Sarr. That has been Rice. That has been Kudus early on. That 6.5 million spot has rotated a few times. I've been pretty set on Ndiaye for a little bit. I like the coverage that I get with Anderson and Xhaka. They don't have to play every game, but their game week 1 fixtures are good enough. And then moving forward of the ball, we've got Watkins and Bowen. So covering off some nice fixtures. Now, this could easily change, and I can even show you what it might look like for me. But with it being a game week 1 bench boost, my preferred option is actually Evan Nilsson post game week 1. I really like the Bournemouth attacking fixtures, but it feels wrong bench boosting into Liverpool. But maybe it's a game where they lose 3-1, 4-2, and maybe they can get some attacking returns. Because when I look at my bench, I've got Dubravka, who's enabling me to spend a little bit more money, hoping that Burnley defense, if he can just get me a 2-pointer, I'll live with it. I can live with that. Where my team falls away a little bit more is that Thiago is that third price point up front, which is the Xhaka, Anderson, Thiago. You're playing two of those three. So if I was to say make the move defensively and go Sanchez and Murillo, then Thiago becomes a Welbeck, Strand Larson 6.5. Or if you do all of that, you could turn them, they save you 0.5 and Bowen goes to Evan Nielsen, then you've got sort of 7 million to spend there, or you can move Xhaka up. But I think Xhaka's fine at 5 million. What are your thoughts on my side, fellas?
Paul, I'd love to see you hit AI transfer, because I wonder if it would do the same thing it did to me.
What, bring Saka in?
Nope. And it's very interesting, and I hope it does, because we have some similar teams. Doesn't do. Okay, you got Saka in that. Mine told me that because we were big at the back of Romero, Cucurella, and Virgil, it was telling me that I should actually move Neco Williams down to a Stevies and have 1 mil in my bank to play around with.
Oh,
which
okay.
I think there's definitely a world where if you have 3 centre backs that are going to be really good for DC points and play for some good sides, so like Virgil and Cook, you can play for any fixture. Personally, if I was to pick, I would go Neco Williams over Romero, just because I think the Forest defense is going to be better as well.
That's why I've got Sells.
That's where I think there's definitely an option, if you're not bench boosting early or after your bench boost, to take money out of that 4.5 mil and go to Ronaldo and Esteves, who are going to play every week and still get you some points, because that might let you stretch the budget of 4.5s to get, up. Thiago, for instance, in this draft, Evan Nielsen, right? There's an extra mil, and that might be more beneficial to you than having to other playing 4.5 mil defenders if you're just going to play the same 3 guys at the back every week.
Yeah, it's not a bad shout. I guess it comes back to looking at, out of the 4 millions, does anyone have a good game week 1 fixture? And it's probably like Goodmanson might be the guy.
Yeah, it is.
Like, do you bank? Do you get rid? Because I think Diouf is going to stay as that 4th defender for West Ham. Yeah. Because I think the baseline, I know AI loves Wan-Bissaka, and that's probably got to do with his defensive contributions. But if Diouf is the attacking fullback who probably doesn't even play, he's probably your first sub anyway. Yeah, do you then just say, well, Anderson, you're playing Brighton game week 1 anyway. If you then go Goodmanson as your 4 million option, you've got 0.5 in the bank. It might be that you have to quickly make this move back and go Sanchez, let's go Murillo. And then you've got 1 million sitting in the bank for a 7 million striker. And if you're going 7 million up front, forward, you're looking at Evan Nielsen or Strand Larson. If you're bench boosting in game week 1, I still think you just cop the Evan Nielsen against Liverpool, and you potentially roll with that. You make those transfers, you save it, you optimize it, and you're sitting still at a 96 game week with a 94 team overall. And then you gain this run of fixtures. You get Wolves, Spurs, Brighton, Newcastle, Leeds, Fulham for Evan Nielsen up to your wild card. Potentially, that might be what I look at doing. So we'll see. Plenty of options. But I think we're all in interesting spots with our sides, which is really exciting. The other option, I guess, is you could go Neco Williams instead of Murillo and then turn that Evan Nielsen into Chris Wood, and you've got a 7.5 striker sitting there waiting to go as well. So,
yep.
I am pretty happy to leave our sides with that. Get in the comments, guys, because we do have the team to review. I do need to get the picture up here, and let me add this in. So if you would like to get your team quickly reviewed, guys, go over to Chasing Rank over on Twitter. And on the last... Why is this not letting me do this now? If you'd like to get your... Stop screen. Oh, because I've got to stop sharing. That might help. Share screen. We want this one here. Now, can you guys see that? It's probably a touch small. Here we go. So this is JS's side. He has gotten over on Twitter and linked us his side. So his team for the audio listeners is Kelleher, Diouf, Virgil, Nico Williams. He's got Ndiaye, Bruno, Salah, Palmer, Anderson, Bowen, and Watkins, with Dubravka, Van de Ven, Estevi, and Guiu, who I heard today is not tracking like he's going to get there in time for game week 1. It sounds like there's some complications with the loan. Doesn't mean I don't think he's not going to get there at all, but I think he's tracking like he's not going to play game week 1. Dammo, what are your thoughts of JS's team? He is saying that Fantasy Football Hub have a 97%.
I can see why. Hub loves a lot of the players in that team. I will say that. Hub loves the Stevies, and I know that Hub loves Ndiaye. I think Bowen's fantastic. And look, I'm done some drafts with Guayu, and he eventually moves. He'd be a great asset for all of us. Only problem with that is that if you want free Chelsea assets from game week 1, it's hard to do because obviously that's locking one up because he may not get that move before game week 1. And if you're bench boosting a game week 1, which I don't think that team is, but you could. I will preface this. I think out of all the chips, the bench boost one is the one that is the least valuable to you, because no matter how good your bench is, they could all blank, or your bench could be all 4.0 defenders and they will score on the same game week. So it's very volatile. But if that is a bench boost one game week, you just have to be wary for Guiu. If it's not, and you don't plan on having free Chelsea assets, and you're just waiting for that to update to be the Sunderland fixtures, then I think that's a very solid team, JS, with not many changes that I would make, to be fair.
So JS has just gotten into the comments there and said that it's not a bench boost one. So that is a lock and load first squad.
I think if that's the case, you probably need to somehow get Van de Ven on the pitch against Burnley at home as well.
Yeah, I probably agree with that. And it's probably carrying a few, not too many premiums, but it's almost like you've got a couple too many guys that you're going to be forever playing the fixture game as well, which isn't easy. So I think we've got another team here. We've got Ola's side that's just come through as well. So bear with me as
Ola's been great on Twitter, giving us a couple of shout outs to help grow, to get behind him.
Like look at that off the back.
All right. So looking at that bench, I would like to think it's not a bench boost one team.
No, I don't think it is either.
Who's not one of them. For the audio listeners, it is Jordan Pickford as the Everton covering goal, with Cucurella, Van de Ven, and De Kuyper, with Salah, Palmer, Bruno, Rogers, Xhaka, Watkins, Solanke, with Kinski, Dorgu, Esteve, and Guiu. 95% team rating, 95% game week rating. Dom, do you want to kick us off? And Ola is also saying that it is not a bench boost one side.
Okay, good. But yeah, big fan of this. And that's what Dammo said coming into it. I feel like you've really covered all your bases. Only thing is De Kuyper, unsure whether they play or not, but there's so many good 4.5 options to pivot out to. So take your pick. Consa, there's one off the top of your head. Van de Ven I'm big on, but like what Paul mentioned kind of made me think a bit, once again, easy to flip out to. Solanke, big rumours about his fitness. Probably wouldn't go there if I'm personally honest, but once again, so many good players at that price point.
I think you're going Chris Wood at 7.5 if you've got that price.
Yeah, love the midfield though. That's just such a strong midfield. And Xhaka, I think he's going to be so good for them.
I think the big omission there is no Anderson. It's like, can you squeeze another 0.5 from somewhere? But I don't think you can really. Like, if you're set on Rodgers, you just can't have Rodgers and Anderson in that setup. I think you're choosing one or the other, and I think Xhaka's probably not a bad, option 2 behind an Elliot Anderson. So I'm pretty happy with that. I really like that team. Although I think for a non-bench boost game week 1 side, I think that is a very, very strong side, I reckon. So I am pretty keen on that one. Sounds like, I saw we did have another one.
FPL Penguin, if you're in the chat, get in the chat, Penguin. Let us know you're here.
Where is it?
I just tagged you.
Yeah, thank you. FPL Penguin. Let me re-add.
Good, let's go. He's already ready. He knew the question. Nice. Right. I might start creating a bit of a cult following. Everyone's going to get on the bench boost one with me. Let's do it. Come on.
Yeah.
Everyone on the train.
Now, before we get into Penguin's side, please, if you are new here, hit that sub button. We have gone up a few subs tonight. We've picked up 3 new subs just from tonight's stream, which is fantastic. So please hit the sub button there if you can. I would appreciate that massively. And the team for our audio listeners over on Spotify and Apple Podcasts is Sanchez, Nico Williams, Diouf, and Virgil, with Eze, Saka, Palmer, Anderson, and Dye, Haaland, Watkins, with Kinski, Guiu, Ronaldo, and Goodmanson. So this team definitely is not bench boosting, but also has gone big with Saka, Palmer, Haaland, no Salah. Dammo, take us away.
It's interesting. I like it because
respect it.
Immediately when you look at it, you're like, oh, how did you afford that? And if you watch Raptor, anytime he says that, he's like, oh, I like it. And we're so used to all seeing Salah in drafts. This is a great non-Salah draft because you get the coverage of Saka, Palmer, and Haaland, plus Watkins. Some people might be drawn to the bench and be like, hey, what's going on with the bench? If Guihu gets this move, which it looks like it's happening, just taking its time, playing 4.5 mil striker that you probably
That's
don't
happening,
need to use. Yeah, got Haaland and Watkins. You got a playing 4.0 defender that I'm with Dom. I think he's going to be really good at Ronaldo as well. He's got good pedigree. And Goodmanson's going to be nailed for Leeds. And something I brought up with Paul with his draft that he could do is very similar to this. Take the money out of the bench if you ain't going to bench boost, and have those playing players that can cover you if there's a short-term injury. And if there's a long-term injury, just transfer that person out, right? So I think for a non-Salah draft, this would score fairly highly in Hub, and I think it's pretty good. My only concern is that I think if you go without Salah, you're going to have to just close your eyes and live with it for the first 4, 5, 6, 7 game weeks until Liverpool's fixtures, they're pretty good. They're okay. But yeah, look, as someone that obviously supports Liverpool, watches a lot of Liverpool, I don't think I could personally go without Salah because it would be scary. But it's also sometimes scary seeing City play against Wolves away and be like, what's Haaland going to do? Because if he scores 5, we're all in trouble, right?
Yeah, the big point here, I think, that Penguin's gone after is it's got 6 pen takers. Now, that's Eze, Saka will count for now because we don't know what's going on. Palmer and Dyer, Haaland, Watkins. Again, Villa penalty taker is up for grabs, but it sounds like it's probably going to be Watkins anyway. I think Tielemans could, but I still think you start the season giving it to Watkins. So I like that side Penguin as a non-bench boost as well. So before we wrap things up tonight, make sure, number one, if you do want to get your team quickly reviewed, you get it over on the post there on Twitter, the Dom to sort me out with as well. We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes, so we might start to wrap some things up. So there's another big weekend of football happening this weekend. We're obviously at a spot now where we're getting those last preseason games. So I think we're going to get a lot of really important data come through over the weekend. I think we've got the Community Shield happening on Sunday as well. So we're going to see Crystal Palace and Liverpool sides that are relatively locked. But we are in a really, really interesting space. If you haven't already, make sure you turn the notification bell on for this channel here on YouTube for Chasing Rank FPL, because there is going to be lots and lots and lots of different types of videos as well. There's going to be long discussions. There's going to be videos like Dammo and I did on the weekend where we're going to sit down and have a big strategy session where we're going to talk through big trending topics in the game, and you do not want to miss those. We've had quite a lot of those videos do really, really well so far, and I don't want you guys that are here in the lives to miss that as well. So massively, make sure you turn on those notifications. Make sure you also do that over on Twitter. Dom is constantly patrolling through Twitter. He's posting heaps of threads, lots of graphics, lots of big discussion points that have been going really, really well over on Twitter. Make sure that you're getting involved in those communities. Let me know over on the Spotify comments if you want more of the videos that we're doing to be also transferred to audio platforms only. At this stage, I'm just doing the podcast, but if you want the longer videos as well over on Spotify, let me know through the Spotify comments because I will be getting those directly. But thank you to everybody that has come into the stream. Thank you, first of all, to everyone that's subscribed tonight. We've gone up a few subscribers, and I can also see that we have had quite a few live viewers. So if you could, before you leave, make sure you smash a like on the stream. I can also see we've had 5 likes on the stream alone, which is absolutely fantastic. But last week we had 11. So if we can try and beat that like counter from last week, make sure we go and get that. Thank you, FPL Penguin, for saying it was a great stream. Dom and Dammo, do you guys want to quickly wrap us up before we end things tonight?
Under 2 weeks away, fire up is all I'll say.
And Dammo?
Awesome. And if you guys are after more content, make sure to hit the bell. We did release a video earlier where I broke down what could be the meta chip strategy for the first half of this season. So go and check that video out. It's not a bench boost one wildcard. So for those that are not bench boosting in number 1, that could be the video for you to get some inspiration from. But yeah, from Dammo, go and enjoy preseason, guys. It's the most fun you can have. Have some fun.
Best time of the season.
And let's all go and chase those ranks, shall we?
Let's do it. We'll see you guys very soon for some more content here over on Chasing Rank.